Welcome to Haunted Talks, the official podcast of the Haunted Walk, offering ghost tours and paranormal adventures in Kingston, Ottawa, and Toronto, Ontario. My name is Jim Dean. I am the creative director, and I really appreciate you joining us for today's show. The Coral Castle, located in Homestead, Florida, is one of the most amazing and mysterious structures ever built. It has been compared to Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids of Egypt. What makes this castle so amazing is that it was constructed by one man, Edward Leedskalnin, a 5-foot, 100-pound Latvian immigrant. He quarried, fashioned, and transported these megalithic blocks of rock, some weighing as much as 30 tons, setting them in place without assistance or the use of modern machinery. In the episode, we will be exploring the mystery, including the strange magnetic properties of the site and how they may connect to the paranormal activity that has been witnessed there. But before we get to that, it has been a few very busy weeks at the Haunted Walk, but August is always one of our favorite months of the year, as the sun starts to set a little bit earlier, but it's still nice and warm and perfect for an evening stroll. We do have an incredible slate of tours running in Kingston, Ottawa, and Toronto this summer, and if you live in or will be traveling to those cities, we would be honored to host you on one of our tours. Tour descriptions and schedules can be found on our website, hauntedwalk.com. Don't forget to use the promo code Haunted Talks, that's all one word, Haunted Talks, at checkout to save 15% off your tickets. Recently, we've been getting several very intriguing photos from our guests from locations such as Black Creek Pioneer Village in Toronto, Fort Henry in Kingston, and the Old Jail in Ottawa. But perhaps the most eerie one came from Upper Canada Village in Morrisburg, Ontario. It is a series of 2 photos, with the second featuring a dark and ominous figure looming over one of our guests. Several eyewitnesses claim everyone was seated when the photo was taken. We made a video about it, and you can see the photos and find that video on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/hauntedwalk, or by searching for Haunted Walk Upper Canada Village on Facebook. And it is well worth a watch. Please be sure to follow us while you're there, and of course on Instagram and Twitter as well, both at Haunted Walk. We will have a major announcement in the coming days about a new haunted attraction we are launching in Ottawa. You're not going to want to miss this, so be sure to follow us on those platforms so you'll be one of the first to find out. Lastly, if you are enjoying the episodes, please be sure to subscribe, and we would love a 5-star review from you. If you have friends that enjoy the paranormal, the mysterious, we would be honored if you would recommend our show to them.
My name is David Pierce Rodriguez, and I run a team called PRISM Paranormal Research. Coral Castle is one of those places that I think that is just super mysterious. I mean, it's been on Coast to Coast AM for years and years and years. People have talked about it, written books about it. It's more than, a haunted place. I'd say it's more of a mysterious place. And I know you've heard stuff from the people at Coral Castle there, but Edward Leedskalnin and all the stuff that happened with him, moving that little American Stonehenge from one place to another by himself, a 100-pound man. The stories of the children who saw him sing over the rocks and levitate them. And basically to this day, it's kind of a cold case where nobody knows how he was able to bring all those rocks over. There's just no way that guy could have lifted all that stuff on his own.
As the story goes, Edward Leedskalnin was left standing at the altar by his 16-year-old fiancée, claiming he was too old and too poor. He was supposedly so deeply devoted, heartbroken, and still in love that he dedicated the rest of his life to building a castle in her honor in the hopes that one day she would return to him. After leaving Latvia, Edward wandered around the US and Canada for several years, finally settling in Florida City after being diagnosed with tuberculosis. He allegedly spontaneously healed, stating that magnets were responsible for his improved condition. Working alone, Edward labored for many years building the home he originally called Rock Gate Park in Florida City. He began building this coral home in 1920. Then, in 1936, for reasons that are still somewhat murky, he moved his entire home 10 miles to Homestead, Florida, where he completed it and where it still stands as a tourist attraction today. This move alone took him 3 years. He was believed to only work at night, hidden from the eyes of curious observers. Some suggest that he used a form of anti-gravity device to build the castle, which employed harmonic sound waves, magnetism, or numerous other theories. Edward was quoted as saying, "I have discovered the secrets of the pyramids and found out how the Egyptians, the ancient builders in Peru, Yucatan, and Asia, with only primitive tools, raised and set in place blocks of stone weighing many tons."
Ken Bourke. I'm a tour guide here at the castle. This castle will be here for thousands of years. It's not going anywhere. Hurricane Andrew couldn't even touch it. And there was a news article back in 92 that Hurricane Andrew, this was ground zero, by the way, destroyed Homestead and the surrounding area. Nothing happened to the castle. Now, anything green, absolutely gone. But the stones, there's 2.2 million pounds of rock in there, and it's not going anywhere. Pretty darn amazing. Now, the building material that he used is prevalent throughout South Florida. There are many homes and walls around people's property all over South Florida made out of this same stone and the wood that he used for tripods and building the two-story building. But they're much smaller, and there may be 1 foot square, smaller, decorative, all mortared in, very manageable. Well, the building itself has 4 to 9 tons. The northern wall is 30 tons or 60,000 pounds. The obelisk is 56,000 pounds. Not quite so manageable. So you had absolutely upped the game here. And while people really didn't understand Ed, each and every one of the people that I spoke to that knew Ed absolutely respected him because they could not do anything on this level. Now, how did he do it? Well, we know that the walls were dug up, freed up, and put up. How do we know that? Well, we've had many stonemasons come out here. Now, you want to remember something. Ed was brought up by his father and his grandfather, and they were all bricklayers, stonemasons, woodworkers, all hardworking tradespeople. He worked in the mines for about 8 years when he came over to North America. He worked in the forest industry before he came down here. Ed had a lot of working skills. He bought the property, 10 acres of land, for $10. Had all the materials on it. What he didn't have in tools and what have you, he made from used car parts. And we have some of those in his tool shed as we speak. Now, the ultimate question, how do you build a 2-story building that is way taller than all of his tripods? No one knows the answer to that question, not even me. Are there theories? Absolutely A to Z. Proven, 0.
Well, I mean, they don't know how he was able to do it. They don't know if he was able to do it through some kind of Tesla technology that supposedly, I guess he had read a lot about. I don't know if he knew Tesla. I don't really think he did, but I think he read a lot about Tesla and was super interested in all the stuff Tesla was doing. And I don't know if he had something like that where he's able to raise the oolitic limestone, those big slabs of coral. I mean, there's 1 ton of coral there. I mean, how's he going to raise all that stuff? But when you hear the stories there are newspaper stories back from I think it's the early 40s or something, of these kids who saw him raise it by singing. And I don't know, I mean, you hear the stories on Ancient Aliens or on from Egypt, maybe that's how they put the pyramids together. Some of these stones are bigger than the stones of the pyramid. So, I mean, how in the world was he able to do this by himself? I mean, that's right there's the mystery of the place.
What you would see when you come here is a monolithic castle made out of oolitic limestone, which is what the whole state of Florida, the Keys, and the Caribbean are all made of. And he has turned flat ground into a castle that has 2.2 million pounds of rock in it. He also built a 2-story building, which is where he lived at the top for the last 11 years of his life, and his tool shed was underneath him. Now, the highlights, from my standpoint, would be some of the scientific equipment that we have out there. I like the Polaris Telescope. When you look through the bottom triangle, you'll look straight up to the point of the top of the Polaris Telescope. There are crosshairs up there. Now, those crosshairs represent the 4 seasons. So as you're looking at a 24-inch diameter with crosshairs on it, the top right is winter, going to your left, spring, summer, and fall. So depending on the season, the North Star will show up to this day in one of those 4 quadrants. And right now, it's in the bottom left for summer. I find that amazingly accurate and a wonder that back in the day, with a little compass, maybe a sextant, he was able to produce that telescope. The sundial is another unique piece of equipment that Ed made. It tells the time of the day and is accurate within a minute. It is also a seasonal clock, and it's quite amazing. It goes from 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is what Ed thought a person should work. Now, of course, during daylight savings time, we just make it from 10 to 5. But to this day, and we had a little shot of sunshine earlier today, and I was able to demonstrate the clock within 1 minute to the group that was with me. All of this is just sitting on the ground, except for the obelisk. That was the last piece he brought up from his first castle. It goes 25 feet in the air. It goes 6 feet into the ground, and it weighs 56,000 pounds. And he brought it up on that truck 1 mile an hour, so it wouldn't break. That seems reasonable. But you know why he did that? Because the other 2 did break. So I can't even think about making 1. And this man made 3 of them, to his patience and to his diligence. Pretty darn amazing for a 4th grade education. The man spoke and wrote 5 languages. He loved mathematics, physics, geometry, astrology, astronomy, and all the sciences. He was a natural genius with a thirst for knowledge. This man was very, very thirsty. Another piece of amazing piece of equipment out there is the 3-ton gate. As you would come through his steel gate that's since rusted out, you rang the bell at the front. Now, he had instructions up there. Ring bell twice for service. If you rang it once or 3 or 4 times, he would not come down and open up that steel gate and give you a tour. But if you rang it just 2 times, he would then open it up, collect 25 cents from you, have you push your way through what he called his 3-ton turnstile, and have you enter into the castle, and then he would give you a tour. Now, this 3-ton turnstile is sitting on a truck axle and bearings of a Model T Ford. And we oil it in the top, and that's been spinning since 1936 without any modifications whatsoever. All original equipment, which is pretty amazing. He started his first castle down in Florida City. It was about a quarter the size of this one. Smaller stones, dry stacked. These are huge and mortared in. Some are dry stacked. Of course, when he came to South Florida, he had been diagnosed with tuberculosis. The only cure they knew about back in the day was fresh air and sunshine. So he was found on the side of the road by a local family called the Mosiers, who took him in. He worked on their farm for 2 years. They were so happy with his workmanship that they gave him 1 acre of land. Pretty nice deal. So he started building down there for his sweet 16, thinking that she would hear about it. No, he's the property owner. He built a business and a home for him and her. Unfortunately, that never transpired. She went off and got married to someone in Russia a few years later, never looked back. He came over here and built 2 castles. Pretty amazing.
What makes it a mystery to me, I mean, to any ghost hunter, would be what makes the place haunted could be that he loved that place so much. You know, you have to look at more the emotional side of it. He built it for that one girl who was 16 years old that he loved, and she thought he was poor and old, didn't want to go with him to Florida, and he's there by himself, was hoping she'd move over there, built it for her, and she never came, and maybe he is attached to that property still. I mean, we do know in paranormal research that limestone tends to be able to hold that kind of energy. I mean, as we've seen from castles and, other properties that are super haunted. And maybe this, because of that, and the way that it's centered, kind of like Stonehenge, it's on a bunch of ley lines, isn't it? 2 or 3 ley lines go through that area. I do investigations and events at the lighthouse in Miami here in Key Biscayne, and which is very close to it. I mean, not too much. I would say 20 miles away from Coral Castle. And that is one of the spots of the Bermuda Triangle. That's one of the 3 spots. So, there's a lot of stuff going on down here. And that area also has been through hurricanes and a lot of stuff. It didn't bring down Coral Castle, brought everything down, but Coral Castle down in that area of Homestead and Florida City. But I don't know, that place just, it's magical in a way. I mean, you can pretty much ask anybody who goes in there. You definitely feel stuff there. What makes Coral Castle amazing at night is that usually in the morning it's just really hot and it's really kind of hard to deal with because it is so hot in Miami, Florida, and humid. And at night, everything is just kind of more quiet, less cars there because it is in the corner of an intersection of a couple busy roads. And it's just super peaceful. And I mean, if you're trying to ghost hunt, trying to look for paranormal, anything, you want quiet because it allows you to see past all that ruckus that's going on during the daytime. And what we have found there is that there are a lot of strange spots with a lot of EMF, a lot of like strange magnetism stuff going on. We've gotten a lot of stuff with ITC, a lot of ghost box stuff, a lot of obelisk things, really weird things like that. It's just, the place is awesome at night. I'm glad we're doing events there so that people can see that place at night because it is way more special at night, I think, than compared to the daytime. I got the other day, I was there in March and I was recording up in Ed's room, and he has this little, like, 2nd floor, little tiny bedroom up there. And I was recording in his room and I was saying, gosh, there's so much traffic here, Ed. Does that bother you? And he says something like, so much traffic, or something like that. I mean, so we get a couple of things like that, but for the most part there, it is looking at all these magnetic anomalies going on. If you walk around that place just with any EMF meter, K2 meter, a better meter than a K2 meter, any kind of meter, even dowsing rods, you'll see people there with dowsing rods, you'll see people there with pendulums, but there are certain places, certain areas in the whole park that definitely have huge energies. Some of the parts have been covered over. There's a well that has some kind of crazy energy. There's a place there where you can kind of stand and you just get dizzy. It just makes you dizzy. Some people walk out energized. As for us, what we've gotten good results with is using spirit boxes, ghost boxes, the obelisk, things like that, like ITC, instrumental transcommunication devices, using electronics. And maybe that has to do with Ed, because, Ed loved technology. He loved using anything new like that. And maybe that's why he's communicating through those devices. But we've gotten some crazy things. I was there on a television show a few years back with Telemundo, and we were there, and Laura was in the room with us, and we're asking some questions, and had the Ovilus laying on Ed's bed. He has like a little hammock, a little swinging bed there. And we had it there. And we did before that get the word Ed. We got the word Ed once on there. We also got, when we're asking questions there, we had a string of answers of something about bicycle and well. And to me, it made no sense. But to Laura, it made total sense. And she almost started crying because she knew about a bicycle that either she had found or that he wanted, or something that she had read in a book. I'm not quite sure what the story is, but there's this bicycle that she thought was somewhere around that well area. And, things just start coming out, like it is anytime you use any Ovilus or anything like that. Some people don't like them. Some people do like spirit boxes. Some people, it is random words. And, on a spirit box, you're getting words on the radio. But, I guess when they start making sense is when it's actually working, And in this case, he'll just throw out words that do make sense to the people that work there. So I'm going to have to take that as kind of a hit in a way.
Daniel and his team are actually going to be leading some paranormal investigations at the castle over the next few months. And of course, I had to ask him about them.
We have one on September 13th and October 19th of this year. And if you want to see any more stuff about them, you can see it on my website, doyouseedeadpeople.org, or you can call Coral Castle at 305-248-6345 and speak to Laura, and you can get tickets for that. But what we're going to do is we're doing a couple events there. The way I do events, I do them at the Deering Estate. I do them at Davie School here, the old Davie School, and the Lighthouse, a bunch of places here. What I like to do for our events is to kind of have equipment out, let people ghost hunt. And then we're just going to kind of let people go around. And I've got all our equipment there. We've got people from our team. We've got mediums, psychics, and other investigators. And people can go around and try out equipment, try to talk to Ed, try to talk to whatever is there, using Oviluses, K2s. We're going to have a Connect there. We've got some really cool stuff on the Connect. I don't know if people know what it is, but that Xbox Connect where you're looking for little stick figures and things, and hopefully that's more scientific than anything else. But sometimes you're looking at the side of a chair that turns into a boy. But we have found some stuff that we're going to put the Connect up in Ed's room and see if people can go up there and interact with it on their own or with us. It's just basically, it's everyone's chance to go there at night, try to be a ghost hunter. If they have questions on how to do stuff like that, they can ask us, and it's going to be really special. It's going to be really good. It's the first time we've ever done that there, that anyone's ever done that there. And so we're going to do two events because I think the first one's going to sell out. And so we're going to do one closer to Halloween, and it just should be a lot of fun.
One of Ed's famous phrases was, "There's nothing you can't do."
Thanks so much for joining us for the episode. A special thanks to Daniel Rodriguez from PRISM Paranormal Research, whose website is doyouseedeadpeople.org. It's a great website, and that's where you can find the details about the investigations at the castle. Also, to Ken Bourke and Laura May from the Coral Castle Museum, and their website is coralcastle.com. As always, a big thanks to our Haunted Talks team, including Michelle Dennis, our outstanding audio editor, Ezra Badeau, our tenacious summer intern, and Kevin McLeod at Incompetech.com for the additional music. Information about all our tours can be found on our website, hauntedwalk.com. And be sure to use the promo code Haunted Talks to get 15% off your tickets at checkout as a loyal Haunted Talks listener. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Haunted Walk. And if you've been to Coral Castle or planning to go there or have some experiences you'd love to share, we would love to hear what it's like to be standing there among these giant pieces of rock. Also, be sure to follow us on those channels as we will be making that major announcement very, very soon. Until we meet again, sweet dreams.